Hey guys, it's Turp Mechanic here. This patch of brown dirt back here, I'm going to be putting some grass seed down. I'm going to be putting down buffalo grass. I'm going to be putting this down a little bit later today, but I want to compare two different seed priming or seed, I don't know, superchargers, the things that make seed germinate a little bit faster. I'm going to try two of them side by side on that plot. So this entire strip gets 100% sunlight all day long. I'd say 24/7, but I guess the sun sets at night. Soil temperatures for the entire strip should be exactly the same. And I have pretty much perfect sprinkler coverage on this whole area, running just kind of mister style sprinklers. I'll be running the sprinkler on a very regular schedule over the next week or so, waiting for this seed to germinate. So both versions of the seed priming method should be a side-to-side, apples-to-apples comparison. For the first method, I'm going to use a totally normal warm water, tap water priming method. I've used this before. It does speed up germination. It's pretty much as simple as it gets. You literally just put your seed into warm water from your spigot or your tap, and you let it sit there for about 3 to 6 hours. The whole point is you let it sit in the water long enough to fully saturate the seed. It takes a while for the seed to actually absorb the water. Once it has absorbed, then you can go and spread it on the ground, and it will speed up the germination. Trick here is to use warm water. You don't want to take tap water that's like 50 degrees coming out of the ground, especially for a warm season grass like buffalo grass that wants to germinate closer to 75 to 80 degrees. For the other method, I'm going to be using something called Seed Coat from Soil Moist. This is a product I've never used before, nor do I have an affiliation with. They did not contact me. I'm just very curious on different ways to make seed pop a little bit faster. This seed coat stuff kind of looks like the grit that you would use in a rock polisher. The thing says it's a polyacrylate and graphite compound. Forgive my pronunciation on that. It coats the seed, and it's supposed to help retain moisture and retain warmth or heat. So let's give them a try. For buffalo grass seed on bare dirt, you're going to be putting down roughly 3 pounds per 1,000 square feet of seed. You can put way less than that down, but you got to have a lot of patience for it to fill in laterally after it establishes. I've literally read studies from universities out there that says you could just do 1 buffalo grass seed per square feet, and in a couple years it'll fill in all by itself. That seems ridiculous though for a parkway strip, so I'm going to round up a little bit. My area right here is only about 200 square feet because it's really skinny, about 40 feet long by 5 feet wide. That equates to about 0.6 pounds. Because I'm testing two different things, I'm going to use 0.3 pounds for the seed priming method and another 0.3 pounds for the soil moist method. Let's take this into the kitchen because that's where I get the warm water. Now for the granular side of this fertilization or this starter fertilizer application, we're only sticking with granular. At least that's what I did in this scenario. I applied roughly a third of the poundage of the product via Lawnbox's Fall Fix product, which is a balanced 555. I also applied roughly a third of Soil Mastery's product, which is a 500. I didn't actually apply Soil Mastery for the nitrogen, although the nitrogen is beneficial. I applied it because roughly half of that product going down is biochar. It's a dispersible granular. It's a very simple way of adding biochar into a lawn space without actually having to buy a dedicated product, especially during seeding time when we're going to be covering everything up with a layer of peat moss or other sorts of top dressing. Biochar is an excellent addition to the lawn because it helps the grass retain moisture, or it helps the soil retain moisture that the grass can tap into. So it's not going to dry out as easily. Because humic acid is so important and it's not really a soil nutrient, it's not like you can overdose on humic acid. I applied extra humic acid to the lawn. And then I mixed in one of the most underrated products you could possibly put into a starter fertilizer, especially for grass. Alfalfa meal. Alfalfa meal looks like a throwaway item if you just glance at it on the shelf. It's like 2.5% nitrogen, 2.5% potassium, 0.5% phosphorus. It doesn't look like it belongs in a starter fertilizer mix. However, because those numbers are so small, you're adding a ton of organic matter to the lawn, which is going to increase your CEC over time, but also you're getting naturally occurring tricontinol, which is a compound found in alfalfa meal, and the way that grass responds to it on a natural, this is just what it does. If you apply tricontinol to the lawn, the growth is pushed further into the root system, as opposed to the shoot growth, otherwise known as the leaves or the grass sitting on top of the lawn. We want root development to make sure that that grass establishes, hardens off, and becomes able to defend itself against all environmental factors. Each of these products is part of my root development strategy, especially in a mid to late fall seeding scenario. You really need to have a solid root development strategy. Otherwise, all of the grass that grows from seed in the mid to late fall time frame is most likely going to die over the winter, and you're not going to be starting your spring in the spot that you think you're going to. Please, if you are putting seed down in mid to late fall, look at my root development strategy, which I have linked to down in the description below. All right, everything is on the parkway strip right now, including the seed, plus all the granular fertilizers and top dressing material underneath the peat moss. I'm going to continue watering this, not very deeply, but very regularly over the next 7 days or so. And after about 7 days, once the very first parts of the seeds start sprouting, excuse the sound, my daughter is playing the loud truck. Don't let it go under the road. After about 7 days, I'm going to start putting down my liquid applications on the spot because I expect the very first seeds to start sprouting. Usually you're going to get a taproot started during the germination process before you see a grass plant starting to grow upright. This is going to be an integral part, one of the most central parts of the root development strategy that I have for this lawn space right back here. Even though it is a weird parkway strip lawn space, it's still desirable grass. Root development is incredibly important, especially if I don't want to water it very often, which I don't. I go very deeply into root development in my full-on course, my guide over on Turf Mechanic Premium. I'm linking to it in the description below. You'll probably also find links to it down in the pinned comment. Okay, seriously, I've changed my mind. I'm going to do something slightly different. So I reached out to, I guess, management or sales team over at Lawnbright to get a better understanding of their products. And I'm going to put a different mix of stuff down over here. Let me go show you. All right, here's my messy outdoor table. Don't get me wrong. You should not have this on the front of your house. My wife tells me that once or so every week. At some point, I'll have to deal with this. But here we go. Here are my Lawnbright products. Now, I mentioned some of these on camera before, but I want to relate them to other kinds of things. So, hold on for a second. Before I get into all of that, what about the soil moist? How did that work? Was it any better than the quick priming? Is it worth buying that product? I treated the whole area as, I don't know, as closely, as similarly as I possibly could have. And I actually found the very first sprout from buffalo grass seed coming from the quick primed method, which I swear to you was wildly simple. I'm sure that quick priming would be a little bit more complicated if I was trying to do like 10,000 square feet worth of seed all at once. But for just basic run-of-the-mill seeding projects that homeowners, lawn owners have all of the time, I quick prime that stuff every day of the week. For this buffalo grass seed back here, the very first sprout came up on day 5, and it was on the quick primed side. The seed moist or the seed coat stuff that I put on, that I bought that product and I put it onto the seed, the first sprout that I found over there was on day 6. Now, is that substantial enough to make a difference? I didn't actually test how long it would take without doing anything at all, but my guess is if you're going to go buy a product, apply it to seed, and throw it on the ground, hoping for it to germinate a little bit faster, I think the quick priming method is going to be best for most people. It's very simple. It's way easier than actually pre-germinating seed, and there's way easier than pre-germinating seed, and you don't have to buy anything. So long as you have buckets or bowls to soak the seed in, you're going to be okay. Here we are on day 12. I'm going to show you exactly what it looks like. You can't even tell the difference. So this area right here was quick primed. Everything looks nice. Coming in just as I would expect. Even. Multiple grass blades per seed. Now we're moving over into the seed coat section. And I don't see a difference at all. In my opinion, the seed coat product potentially could be beneficial under the right circumstances. But if you're doing all of the steps for seeding that you're supposed to, I think it's an unnecessary product that you don't really have to think about spending your money on. Plain Jane 80-degree water, that's all you need. All right, now let's go back over to those products, because that's the stuff that I'm going to use to get this grass to root down and establish itself to be able to get through the winter, because I planted it way too late in the season. Root RX. This is, according to Lawnbright Top Brass, Root RX is a mixture of black gold, 50% black gold, and sea kelp. Now, if you look at their sea green product is 8% seaweed extract and pretty much nothing else. There's a touch of humic acid in there. Black gold, however, is essentially micro and trace elements or trace nutrients. There are somewhere in the vicinity of 70 trace elements or trace nutrients that you could put on your lawn. In years past, I have used green sand, I have used azomite. Azomite I don't have on stock right now, so I can't show it to you. Within the trace elements category are things like, let's see, in the StrongORR product, you've got silica. So within the trace elements, silica, by the way, makes your baby grass or established grass a little bit more rigid. So you know how like a grass blade goes up and then it kind of flops over. It's always got that floppiness to it. The rigidity is improved with having silica in the soil. So you could just apply silica, maybe some humic acid for nutrient uptake purposes, or you could apply trace elements via green sand, or you could mix humic acid and green sand together, and this is what I'm going to be doing with the black gold product. Black gold includes humic acid and fulvic acids, along with all of the trace elements that the owner of Lawnbright gave. I mean, he gave me a PDF referencing all of the material that's in this that's not actually on the label. I'll give you a little screenshot here of that PDF. Half of this goes together with the sea green product, which is seaweed extract, which of course you could just go to the store and buy a cheap version. Any seaweed extract at your local home garden supply store is going to have this. This is, there you go, Norwegian kelp, Ascophyllum nodosum. That's going to be on just about any bottle of kelp or seaweed extract that you're going to find.
that's what this product is right here. And if we take 50% of this and 50% of this, that's what this product is, Root RX. Root RX, if we look at the back of that, we've got 58% humic acid. So it's a lot of humic acid and a lot of kelp coming from this, and the micro or the trace elements that come from the black gold. Root RX is pretty much an all-in-one product, in my opinion. Now, I'm not 100% certain if you're going to be getting a adequate amount of silica, so if you do want to push rigidity and strength of your baby grass seed, which I do, you're going to be putting down a silica product. This is the StrongORR. If you're watching this video, you're on YouTube most likely, you know who Granular is. This is his company. There are other companies out there that give you higher concentrations of silica, but in my opinion, I don't believe higher concentrations are going to matter that much. Silica does fall within the trace element category, so you don't need much of it. This is a good option. I'll link to it, and I don't get any commission off of that whatsoever. Ryan Knorr almost never responds to my emails in the first place, but I use his products anyway. Sorry, Ryan. And thank you, Ryan. And you're welcome, Ryan. All right, now earlier in the video, I said that I was going to do this on day 7. It's not day 7, it's day 12 at this point. Day 12, I've got grass growing out there. There it is over there. You can't really see it from far away, but you can see how, you know, there's wet spots and dry spots over there. It's ready for another sprinkling. I got grass growing over there. I did make my own starter fertilizer. So here is a Yard Mastery starter fertilizer. It's a 12-12-12. People who are buying just a dedicated bag of starter fertilizer, this is what I recommend. So, I mean, not necessarily Yard Mastery blend, but a 12-12-12 or a 10-10-10 or a 5-5-5. It's an even blend. In my opinion, starter fertilizers don't need to be phosphorus only. If you have a mixture of everything that is pretty much broad spectrum, even across the board, it's going to be fine. So you could use this, you could use something else that was even across the board, but I didn't use this. I have used Total Lawn in the past, which is not exactly even, but it is higher on phosphorus, but it also contains a lot of the micro and macronutrients coming from the fish protein hydrolysate. It's basically a fish protein product that has a whole bunch of trace stuff that for labeling purposes, it just makes the back of the bottle all gobbledygook. I've used the fish protein over on my Kentucky bluegrass over there. Notice on the left, it is looking sweet. On the right, it's looking dead because I applied glyphosate to that section because I had invading Bermuda. Totally unrelated video. Baby grass is coming back in over there, and everything else is going to be solidly green in the next few weeks. I have a dedicated blog post to starter fertilizers, which I'm going to link to down in the description below. But if you want to watch a video, I don't know, up here in this corner, I'm going to link in a card and down in the description to my video about making your own DIY starter fertilizer. For my Parkway strip out here with the buffalo grass on it, I use my own DIY blend of starter fertilizer to get the grass growing. And from far away, it doesn't look like anything is growing at all. However, let's go over there and I'll give you a close-up shot. In close. Granted, this is middle of the day, so it is literally the worst time of the day to get this on camera.
Sorry, you're watching YouTube videos, so you have to deal with amateur videographers explaining to people how things work in filming. So we've got grass coming up.
All right, it looks ridiculous at this time of the day. I'm going to give you an extra shot in the evening, or let's call it at near sundown, so you can actually see the grass. Literally, the sun has to be coming in from the side for you to be able to see it really well on camera. So with the grass coming in, somewhere around day 7, I probably could have applied this stuff. Humic acid is a granular, so I didn't. So I did apply some of that initially. I could have applied green sand, but don't trust the camera. There's nothing in this box. I used this a long time ago. I didn't have any green sand to use. at time of seeding. So that's why I'm going to fall back onto black gold, which is one of the only liquid versions of trace elements that I have found to date. Black gold is going to go down onto my lawn. Sea green is going to go down onto my lawn because I bought the bottle and might as well use it. This is basically the same thing as sea green. It really is. But for this, I have to mix it into a tank sprayer and put it on the lawn, or into a dedicated hose and sprayer. I could put this into this bottle for all for all it matters. But since I have this, I'm just going to use that. This is cheaper. That's more expensive. This you have to mix and spray yourself. This, it's all done for you. So I don't know. I own this, so I'm going to use it. So that and that. If you wanted to save some money, you would only use this, or if you had a small space, you would only use this and spray this one single product on the entire area. This is my nice little hose and sprayer for it. You can buy these things dedicated on Amazon, but if you are purchasing products on Lawnbright, you actually get one of these. It's just thrown into the box. You do not get this little quick connect fitting that snaps it straight onto your hose. That's something that I added myself. For this application today and at time and seeding, I'm not using anything high in nitrogen. It's just not necessary. We want to push rooting and grass development, not foliar growth.
Now for the granular side of this fertilization, or this starter fertilizer application, we're only sticking with granular. At least that's what I did in this scenario. I applied roughly a third of the poundage of the product via Lawn Box's Fall Fix product, which is a balanced 5-5-5. I also applied roughly a third of Soil Mastery's product, which is a 5-0-0. I didn't actually apply Soil Mastery for the nitrogen, although the nitrogen is beneficial. I applied it because roughly half of that product going down is biochar. It's a dispersible granular. It's a very simple way of adding biochar into a lawn space without actually having to buy a dedicated product, especially during seeding time when we're going to be covering everything up with a layer of peat moss or other sorts of top dressing. Biochar is an excellent addition to the lawn because it helps the grass retain moisture, or helps the soil retain moisture that the grass can tap into. So it's not going to dry out as easily. Because humic acid is so important, and it's not really a soil nutrient, it's not like you can overdose on humic acid. I applied extra humic acid to the lawn, and then I mixed in one of the most underrated products you could possibly put into a starter fertilizer, especially for grass, Alfalfa Meal. Alfalfa Meal looks like a throwaway item if you just glance at it on the shelf. It's like 2.5% nitrogen, 2.5% potassium, 0.5% phosphorus. It doesn't look like it belongs in a starter fertilizer mix. However, because those numbers are so small, you're adding a ton of organic matter to the lawn, which is going to increase your CEC over time, but also you're getting naturally occurring tricontinol, which is a compound found in alfalfa meal, and the way that grass responds to it on a natural, this is just what it does, as opposed to the shoot growth, otherwise known as the leaves or the grass sitting on top of the lawn, and becomes able to defend itself against all environmental factors. Each of these products is part of my root development strategy, especially in a mid to late fall seeding scenario. You really need to have a solid root development strategy. Otherwise, all of the grass that grows from seed in the mid to late fall time frame is most likely going to die over the winter, and you're not going to be starting your spring in the spot that you think you're going to. Please, if you are putting seed down in mid to late fall, look at my root development strategy, which I have linked to down in the description below.
Now, for those of you looking to grow grass all the way into the late part of November, close to Thanksgiving, make sure to watch this video up here in the corner. I describe my strategy on how to get this done for the vast majority of lawns across the country.